At Eliza's funeral, a German shepherd climbed onto her coffin, leaving everyone stunned. What secret bond did they share, and why is the forest coming alive after her death? Eliza was the heart of Mystic Ridge, a woman deeply connected to the forest and its creatures. While others admired the forest's beauty, she saw it as a living, breathing part of her life. She spent her days walking its trails, listening to the rustling leaves and the calls of birds, understanding the rhythm of nature like no one else. Her kindness wasn't limited to people. Eliza was known for rescuing injured animals and nursing them back to health. Her cabin, perched at the forest's edge, often sheltered creatures in need, birds with broken wings, deer with injured legs, and even foxes. To the townspeople, she was the soul of the forest, someone who cared for it as if it were her family. Years ago, Eliza's life changed when she found a stray German shepherd deep in the woods. The dog was thin, with matted fur and cautious, golden eyes. It had clearly been abandoned. Eliza knelt down, speaking softly, offering a piece of bread from her pocket. Slowly, the dog came closer, drawn to her warmth. She named him King, a fitting name for a creature that carried quiet strength and dignity. From that moment, King became her shadow. He followed her everywhere, on her forest walks, during her rescue missions, and even to community gatherings where she spoke about preserving nature. King seemed more than just a dog, he understood her purpose, as if they shared the same mission. Over the years, their bond grew unbreakable. Together, they protected Mystic Ridge, inspiring others to see the forest not just as land but as a home worth saving. Eliza and King were inseparable, a symbol of harmony between humanity and nature, a bond so deep it would endure even beyond her lifetime. After Eliza's funeral, Mystic Ridge felt different. The forest, usually calm and peaceful, seemed alive in a new and unusual way. Animals began acting strangely. Birds that normally stayed in small flocks gathered in massive groups, circling the sky in perfect patterns. Deer wandered into town without fear, moving in unusual paths. Even the trees seemed to shift, their leaves rustling as though whispering secrets. The townspeople noticed the changes and whispered among themselves. They didn't understand what was happening but felt an uneasiness they couldn't explain. Clara, one of Eliza's closest friends, felt the change more deeply than anyone. She had always admired Eliza's connection to the forest but never believed she had a similar bond. That was until the day after the funeral, when strange things started happening to her. Clara began experiencing dizzy spells that left her lightheaded and confused. At first, she thought it was from the grief of losing her dear friend. But soon, the spells were followed by heightened senses. She could hear the faint rustle of leaves from far away and smell the damp earth even when she wasn't near the forest. She started noticing patterns in the animals' movements, as though they were trying to tell her something. One day, as Clara stood on the edge of the forest, she felt an overwhelming pull to step inside. It was as if the forest was calling her, urging her to listen. The German shepherd King appeared, watching her with its golden eyes that seemed to hold wisdom beyond comprehension. Clara didn't fully understand what was happening, but she knew one thing: something was changing, and the forest had chosen her for a reason. It wasn't just grief pulling her into the woods, it was destiny. Clara couldn't shake the feeling that the German shepherd King was always watching her. Wherever she went, she would catch glimpses of him, a shadow disappearing into the trees or the faint rustle of leaves when no wind was blowing. At first, it unsettled her, but soon, she began to feel comforted by his presence. It was as if the dog was silently guiding her, just as he had been by Eliza's side for years. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Clara decided to follow him. The German shepherd King stood at the edge of the forest, his golden eyes fixed on her. Without hesitation, she stepped into the woods. He moved ahead, his form blending seamlessly with the shadows, yet always remaining within her sight. Clara felt an odd pull, as though the forest itself wanted her to follow. After what felt like hours, the dog led her to a clearing she had never seen before. It was breathtaking, a hidden sacred grove encircled by ancient trees that seemed to hum with energy. The ground was covered in soft moss, and beams of light filtered through the canopy, casting an ethereal glow. In the center of the grove stood a large stone marked with strange symbols that pulsed faintly, as though alive. As Clara stepped closer, she felt a surge of warmth and connection, as if the forest was welcoming her. Memories of Eliza filled her mind, images of her tending to injured animals, planting trees, and speaking passionately about protecting Mystic Ridge. Clara realized this grove was more than just a beautiful place. It was a link to the forest's consciousness, a living archive of its history and wisdom. She knelt by the stone, her fingers tracing the symbols. A deep understanding washed over her. Eliza's death had awakened a force within the forest, something ancient and powerful. The German Shepherd King sat beside her, his steady gaze seeming to say, "You're ready." Clara understood now. She wasn't just a visitor here, she was part of something much bigger, and her journey had only just begun. As Clara spent more time in the sacred grove, she began to uncover the truth about Mystic Ridge and the dangers it faced. The forest, through its symbols and whispers, began to reveal its secrets. The ancient trees, the flowing streams, and even the wind seemed to share a warning: Mystic Ridge was under threat. Clara learned that humans were the cause. Logging companies had been clearing land at the forest's edges, destroying habitats and upsetting the delicate balance of nature. Chemicals from nearby factories were polluting the streams, poisoning the wildlife. The land that Eliza had fought so hard to protect was being pushed to its limits. One evening, as Clara sat in the grove, the German Shepherd King approached her. He stood tall, his golden eyes locked onto hers, and she felt a wave of energy wash over her. Through him, the forest spoke. Images filled her mind: trees falling, rivers darkening, animals fleeing their homes. The destruction wasn't just harming Mystic Ridge, it was waking something ancient and powerful deep within the land. The forest's energy, embodied by the German Shepherd King, was trying to fight back. It was protecting itself, but its power was scattered, unfocused. Clara realized it needed her. She was meant to be the bridge between the forest and the human world, just as Eliza had been. But this time, the stakes were higher. "I don't know if I can do this," Clara whispered, her voice trembling. The dog moved closer, placing his paw on her hand, his gaze steady and calm. In that moment, Clara understood that she wasn't alone. The forest had chosen her because it believed in her, and the German Shepherd King was there to guide her every step of the way. She began to sense the forest's energy coursing through her. It wasn't just anger or fear, it was life itself, desperate to survive and thrive. Clara knew she had to act quickly. The balance of Mystic Ridge was tipping, and if nothing was done, the damage would be irreversible. With the German Shepherd King by her side, Clara resolved to use her newfound connection to save the forest and honor Eliza's legacy. Lara's efforts to save Mystic Ridge didn't just stop at the forest. Her work, guided by the German Shepherd King, began to inspire others beyond their small community. The changes she made to protect the forest were noticed by nearby towns, who started asking questions about how they could help their own environments. Word of Mystic Ridge's transformation spread quickly. People were amazed at how the forest seemed to come alive under Clara's care. The streams ran clearer, the trees grew stronger, and the animals thrived. Even the air felt fresher. Scientists, environmentalists, and ordinary people began visiting Mystic Ridge to see the changes for themselves. Clara shared everything she had learned, teaching others about the deep connection between humans and nature. The German Shepherd King became a symbol of this movement. Stories of his loyalty to Eliza and his guidance for Clara inspired hope. People started calling him the Guardian of the Forest, and his image appeared in articles, documentaries, and social media posts worldwide. His bond with Clara became a powerful reminder that humans and nature could work together in harmony. As more people visited Mystic Ridge, they began applying what they learned to their own communities. In cities, people planted trees and created green spaces. Farmers started using sustainable practices to protect their soil and water. Rivers and lakes that had been polluted for years were cleaned up, and animals began returning to their natural habitats. This movement grew rapidly. People in different parts of the world started forming their own connections with nature. In some places, they restored forests. In others, they protected endangered animals. Communities began working together, sharing ideas and successes to create a global effort to heal the planet. Clara and the German Shepherd King became the heart of this worldwide change. Mystic Ridge was no longer just a small forest, it became a symbol of hope and possibility. Clara's bond with the forest showed that even one person, with the right guidance and determination, could inspire others to make a difference. Together, humans and nature began to rebuild a world where both could thrive in harmony, proving that a better future was possible. The sacred grove, once a place of peace, now felt heavy with tension. Clara stood in the center, surrounded by the ancient trees and glowing stone, as a strange energy filled the air. The forest had brought her here for a reason, and she could feel it in her chest. A test was coming. The ground beneath her feet trembled, and the wind whispered through the trees in a language she couldn't fully understand. From the shadows, glowing shapes began to appear. They weren't human or animal but felt like something older, something powerful. These were the ancient forces of nature, the protectors of balance who had been watching humanity for centuries. They had seen the damage humans had done to the earth, and now they wanted to know if Clara, and humanity, could truly be trusted to coexist with nature. Clara felt her heart pound, but the German Shepherd King stood firm by her side. His golden eyes glowed with confidence as if to say, "You're not alone." She reached down to place a hand on his fur, drawing strength from their bond. The ancient forces surrounded her, their voices echoing in her mind. "Prove to us that humanity has changed. Show us that you can live in harmony with the world we have protected." Clara closed her eyes, focusing on the connection she had built with the forest. She thought about everything she had learned, the efforts of her community, and the global movement that had been inspired by Mystic Ridge. The forest's energy flowed through her, guided by the German Shepherd King, and she reached out to the ancient forces, not with words, but with actions. The trees responded to her call, their branches bending and weaving together to form a glowing dome of light. Animals emerged from the shadows, standing peacefully beside her, showing their trust. Her community arrived, standing at the edge of the grove, united in their commitment to protecting the forest. The energy of the land, the animals, and the people became one, creating a powerful wave of harmony. The ancient forces paused, their glowing shapes shifting as if considering. Finally, they spoke, their voices softer now. "You have shown us hope. Humanity is ready." The energy in the grove eased, and Clara felt a deep sense of peace wash over her. With the German Shepherd King by her side, she had proven that humanity could find balance with nature, and that the future could be saved. Mystic Ridge was no longer just a forest, it had become a symbol of hope for the entire world. The once quiet grove was now visited by people from every corner of the planet. Scientists, activists, and families came to see the place where balance between humanity and nature had been restored. The forest thrived like never before. The stream sparkled with clear water, the trees stood taller and stronger, and animals moved freely, unafraid. Clara's connection to the forest deepened every day. She could sense its pulse, hear its whispers, and guide its energy to heal and protect. At her side, the German Shepherd King stood as a constant reminder of the bond between humans and nature. Clara's story inspired a global movement. Communities everywhere began following Mystic Ridge's example. People planted trees, cleaned rivers, and protected wildlife. They rebuilt their relationship with nature, learning to live in harmony instead of taking from it without care. The idea of guardians, people who would protect and guide their local environments, spread rapidly. Around the world, new guardians began to emerge. In rainforests, deserts, mountains, and cities, people connected with the land in ways they had never imagined. Each guardian had their own strengths, but all of them shared a bond with their environment, much like Clara and the German Shepherd King. Mystic Ridge became a place of learning. Clara and her community taught visitors how to work with nature instead of against it. Children especially were drawn to the story of Clara and the German Shepherd King, finding inspiration in their partnership. Many of them left Mystic Ridge determined to protect the natural world in their own way. As the sun set one evening, Clara stood at the edge of the grove, the German Shepherd King by her side. The forest was alive with the sounds of birds and rustling leaves, and the air was filled with the scent of pine and earth. Clara felt a deep peace, knowing that her bond with the forest and the king had sparked something much bigger than herself. The story of Mystic Ridge didn't end with Clara, it was just the beginning. The forest and its lessons would continue to guide humanity, proving that together, humans and nature could thrive in harmony, creating a brighter future for all.